Hey, welcome back to another Generation One podcast. We are here, excited. It's a wonderful day.
Yes, sir.
Let's
Lovely
go.
day.
Yes,
It's a lovely
back
day.
in the
We're all
building.
going to have a conversation
Wow.
today about compromise and how sometimes in life we feel the pressure in different situations to compromise or to change up when we already felt established in our mind to do a certain thing or be a certain way. And so we're going to talk about that today. So,
Yeah.
Generation One family.
Yes, sir.
Go
Yes.
squad.
So, what are some situations in your life that you might have established a boundary or a discipline and you found yourself being tempted to compromise?
Oh, for sure. I mean, a simple one for me that I feel like might be relatable for all of us is my physical fitness.
Mm.
Like one of the disciplines that I know I need in life is to go to the gym, like to stay physically fit, to make sure that I'm exercising. And that's a simple discipline that like I needed to set a boundary for myself to say, hey, I cannot go less than 4 times a week. If I don't, I experience the results of what happens if I don't. So it's really just making sure that I stick to what I want to do and don't compromise, because it's really easy to just wake up one day and I'm like, I'm not really feeling the gym today. And that's a compromise. Like
Mhm.
that's a real practical way of saying, I committed to going to the gym no less than 4 times a week. But sometimes, things get in the way and I compromise. And I feel the results of me compromising whenever I don't go to the gym. So
Yeah.
that's a current example. As a matter of fact, I need to get up early tomorrow,
Mhm.
which I said I would, to myself, a commitment to myself, and go to the gym. And I'm
Yeah.
going to do it.
That's amazing. That makes me immediately think about my gym journey as well. How one little compromise here and there, it actually works against you a lot more than you think. And
Yeah.
Pastor Andrew, if you're seeing this, I'm sorry, but I'm going to come clean. That's my accountability at the gym. One little meal here, one little meal there that is not in your gym lifestyle and routine, that's
Right.
not with your new way of eating, works against you a lot more than you think. I started my CrossFit journey in like August, and you think I'd just be shredded by now.
You better be on the CrossFit.
I
journey.
got a little more. I got some more muscles now. Don't get twisted.
Talk nice. Talk nice.
I
You better
lost a
talk your
little
talk.
weight. I lost a little weight, and I'm
Let's-
still
let's-
going.
yeah.
That's right.
I'm still
Let's
going.
make sure we set it straight.
Yeah, let's make sure y'all know. But in the beginning, I was very disciplined, very clean eating. But then after a while, your appetite increases. You get really hungry. And so it's like,
That's what
I don't want to eat 14 apples. I want to go eat this thing. I want to go eat Chipotle. I want to go eat whatever else. And so I was eating more food. And then you start slacking. It's like, okay, like you wake up, you eat like bad, and then you wake up and you don't see the bad results. You're like, oh, I don't feel bloated. My body handled that really well. And so it puts you in this place where you start compromising. Little by little, you start to eat bad here and there because you think you can get away with it. But each little thing adds up. And then it's like, where are the results? They're almost non-existent.
Literally.
And I'm in the gym going crazy and I'm getting destroyed in every single workout and I have nothing to show for it. So I was thinking about that is like, if you would just clean that up a little bit, you'll see some results. So compromise, even though it seems small, it works against you.
So back in 2020, I think I got hip to like Call of Duty because I wasn't allowed to play that kind of stuff growing up. My parents were like, hey, brother, that's not your vibe. And so I was like, okay, I just stick to my music and stuff. But I was introduced to Call of Duty in like 2020 with my friends. And we used to be on the game.
Oh God.
I'm talking about, I used to watch the sun
24
come up
hours.
playing that game. It would be like 6, 7 a.m. before I went to sleep because we was on the game like that. And even now I have to be like, all right, Zay, get off the game at a certain time. Otherwise you're going to wake up and you're not, you're going to be hearing gunshots, first of all, when you wake up. Then you're also not going to have enough time to, really settle into your day. So I know if I know that if I go into games a whole lot and it's going to mess up the rest of my day, I can't do that. So I cannot make that compromise and end up compromising my day. Oh,
Yeah.
you like the bar?
Yeah,
boss.
I did.
All right.
Yeah.
Just want to make sure y'all listen.
That was great. Wow.
Bro,
Those are the air horns?
Compromise always is going to distract you.
Yeah.
It ultimately leads to distraction, because if you're compromising something, it means that you had something that you were setting out to do that you compromised to not go towards anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So when you compromise, it's like I am now distracted by whatever I gave up my goal for in order to play the game and have a few moments of, fun, or eat a bad meal because I'm like, oh, I'm, gonna
I'll
have
work
a
it off.
Chipotle bowl and I'll just work it off. But it
Mhm.
all does add up, and it really like can set you back from the progress that you're making. So whenever it comes to compromise, like we have to be people that are going to stay committed to our word. Like we have to remain consistent, because at the end of the day, I feel like it comes down to like your character. Like if you say yes to something, your yes should be yes. If you say
Yeah.
no to something, your no should be no. So whatever your boundaries are, whatever things you need to set, you need to keep those things set in place and not compromise your character or acquiesce into things that you're trying to not do any longer. And that comes with discipline. You know what I mean? And repetition and consistency. And the more you do that, the better you'll be at restraining yourself from doing the things that you're not trying to compromise and fall back into.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
I was gonna say discipline. The word discipline, I feel like is kind of what I've been like hearing from y'all. Because I even think about we did a 21-day fast back in I think it was like November or the beginning of December, and how I was like I cut out like everything that I love, sugar, this, that, this, the third, no TV, no nothing. So like I had all this time with God, and and I was noticing weight changes, loved that, so, and I was in my word, and I was this and I was that, spending all this time with God and really working out, like really, really disciplined. And then it was like 3 weeks. And then after that 3 weeks, I was like, I can have a little sugar now. Because I used to, like, I really do have a sugar addiction. It's a problem.
It's
My
got
brother
one in the
knows.
family because I'm with you.
I'm not even blood family, and I have a sugar addiction.
I love sugar. It's so delicious.
It's good to me.
Anyway,
We're on the outside.
and so 3 weeks without it, and what's crazy too is like once you realize that you didn't even really need it like that, like you just eventually kind of like stop craving it, which is great. But anyway, and then I started when the stuff was brought back into me, and I was like, oh no, I'm gonna take this with me. I think I even said that to Isaiah. I don't even need sugar like that. I'm not even gonna eat it all the time.
Yeah.
But a little bit. But then hold on, let some Oreos be in the cabinet.
Exactly.
What's one Oreo
What's one?
gonna do?
Kit Kat. Yeah. True.
One
Somewhere.
Oreo a day, leading to 2 Oreos a day, leading to 3, or you know what I mean, or whatever's around you. And
sure.
but it really is like a discipline thing at the end of the day too. I feel like I
That's
had a
great.
different point that I didn't make, but there it is. So
I like what you
Discipline's
said though,
wonderful.
because that imagery of like 1 Oreo, 2 Oreos, 3 Oreos, those little compromises they stack on top of each other. It's not like I'll compromise here and then I'll be good the next day. Usually, if you start compromising, you're gonna go into a cycle of compromising.
Yeah.
It's not, So
And
you
then
just
after you compromise,
Truth.
what you have been compromising, it becomes a habit.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
And
Yeah,
it's like
that becomes your new discipline.
Exactly.
Is the compromise.
Yeah.
That's interesting.
And then it's like, what did that like cost you? I think about the fast and how, when it ended, I was, when I added all that stuff back in, TV, social media, instead of waking up, getting immediately into my word and talking to God, I'm like, let me just check social media really quick. And then I'll do that. And I just noticed like how I just was not, I started to, all that progress that I made in my relationship with God and in my disciplines and stuff during the fast kind of started to inch their way back, and it cost me something because when I wake up in the morning and I spend that time with God, that's how I can go about my day with peace. With just like it's my day's just better overall when I started off with God, because that's just like the foundation, So I noticed little compromises here and there that seem small, that seem it's cute, just a little social media, 5 minutes, and then you can go right back into it, and then 5 minutes turns into 20 minutes, and then look at the time, I don't even have time to do the thing that was actually going to feed me and do something good for me. You know what I mean?
sure.
That was gonna be what I needed, Social media,
Jeez.
I didn't need that, you know? But and so it's just interesting. So it really is like a discipline thing. But you do have to think about like, what is it gonna cost you when you decide to do that other little thing that seems like it's innocent, but it's really like you keep doing that and you stay in that flow, and it is like, and you're gonna look up and you're gonna be like, why'd I gain 10 pounds? Why do I feel so disconnected from God? Like so yeah.
Yeah.
Absolutely. You mentioned even fasting, and I know I've heard it said many times, but I know for sure our pastors talked about it too, is like after a fast, you should be different.
Exactly.
And you shouldn't go back into the normal routine. It's like, all right, maybe I should actually keep some of these disciplines with me because you get better mentally, physically, emotionally, spiritually, and you see progress. You're like, oh, not only is this fast, a sacrifice, and I'm getting closer to God, but then like also it makes you better. And so if you go back, it's like you're kind of erasing that progress.
For sure.
I compromise in my morning routine many times where it's like, this is just God's time. Then you wake up and you get on social media and you're scrolling. And so then your God time's, 5 quick minutes. You say a quick prayer, here you go, God, let me say this because I know I need to say this. And then you go, but I didn't have everything I needed for the day maybe. And then you're, catching up throughout the day. And so it's super important, to like, to guard that space, to guard your vision for your life. If it's working out or being better in a certain way, those little compromises go against your vision. and protecting those areas rather than compromising in them.
Yeah, it takes intentionality to live out a life of purpose.
Mm-hmm.
It's not easy because in order to do it, you have to be disciplined.
Mm-hmm.
You have to commit to, I'm going to spend this time with God. And whenever you compromise on those things that you know you need to do in order to fulfill a life of purpose or an assignment or a new discipline, like going to the gym, you're going to experience negative results if you compromise on the thing. You might not experience it immediately, but it ultimately leads to a negative result or it leads to a lack of progress. And if anybody can say that I want to grow, like every person wants to grow. Every person wants to, strive to be better.
Mm-hmm.
So if you want to strive to be better, you have to commit to those things that you said you were going to do.
Yeah.
You have to commit to being who you said you were going to be. And it really, I think it has a lot to do with like character. Like, am I who I say I am? I want to be who I say I am. I don't, and that goes into every area of life. Like if I say that I am this person, I don't want to compromise the fact that I've said that I am this. I don't want to compromise my beliefs. I don't want to compromise who I am. Now, yes, I'm willing to grow and to be shaped and to be changed. And I understand that I'm continually evolving and changing, but I don't want to be swayed so far left that I lose the integrity of who I am. So that's why compromise, bro, like when we start to compromise things, even on a small scale, I think it bleeds over into everything else.
Yeah.
And like, how can you be consistent if you compromise?
Yeah.
If you compromise, you can't be consistent. Consistency takes the discipline. It takes you being intentional. It takes you saying, on the days where you don't want to do it, I'm going to continue to do this and show up for the sake of consistency and the integrity of my character.
Yeah, because it's
makes
not even
sense.
about the like you said, it starts to bleed in because it's not even about the compromise exactly. It's about the discipline aspect, like the fact that you compromise because of, it's just like sin. We talk about sin, but in James it says each person, sins when they're first dragged away by their own evil desire. So it's not just the sin; it's actually the desire we should be talking about as well. And so it will bleed into everything. Well, that's a fruit. I compromise because of. So yeah, that's interesting to talk about as well. Like what leads you to compromise?
Yeah. How do you fight compromise, or how do you fight against not compromising? I know you had a thought. Where were you gonna go?
It wasn't. It didn't.
That's fine.
It wasn't that.
No, flow. You got
It
it.
was what kind of off of what Jalen said. I feel like it's like a desire to have that instant gratification. That's what kind of leads us away from. Because what did you say? What did you just say?
It's about with compromise, like sin and then your own evil desire,
away
compromise,
from
the
the
discipline. It's about the
disciplines,
discipline, I guess, kind of, right?
Yeah, I feel like you kind of like asked like a slight question too.
Oh yeah, what leads you to compromise?
Yeah, I really do think a big part of it is instant gratification. You know what I mean? Like what you want then, like kind of like what you said, sometimes you don't feel like working out when you wake up. I'm a little tired, but like, you know what I mean? But like, but you have to, I guess it's about thinking about the long term rather than just like the short term, little thing. Okay, I could get a little extra sleep. That's nice, but like, is this going to lead me toward my goal? If I compromise now, am I going to do the same thing tomorrow if I'm a little tired tomorrow and the next day and the next day? You know what I mean? But it's that instant thing that we want. Yeah, if we don't feel like doing this, if we don't feel like resisting this, I really feel like it's that. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah.
No, that's really good. That's the compromise. So if your discipline is, I'm going to get up early and go to the gym, you're compromising for the fact that you want to sleep in.
Yeah.
So you're choosing to sleep in over going to the gym. And if you continue to choose to sleep in over going to the gym, whatever you're going to the gym for, if it's, to be healthy, to have a better physique, whatever, you're not going to get those results because you continue to choose sleep. So to Jalen's point, we sometimes continue to choose things instead of going after what we set out to do and what we said we want. Like if I want to become a man who is after God's own heart and I want to, be, living a life full of purpose, then my actions need to be backed up by that. Like I need to do the things that it takes in order to fulfill that. I need to get up early, have my God time. I need to sit with him. I need to pursue him. I need to seek him. Because if I compromise and say, today I'm just not feeling like seeking him. Like there's going to be days where you don't feel like doing whatever it is that you have to do. So, and when those things come up, you have to say, no, I know that even if I don't feel like doing it, this is actually good for me. This is actually helping me get closer to who I am supposed to be in this area, or who I want to be in this area. So it really comes down to like you being intentional about the decisions that you've made and recognizing the value of why you're doing what you're doing.
Yeah.
I kind of want to switch the subject from like individual, because we're talking a lot about individual compromise, but like social compromise is a
Oh,
big
come
thing
on.
as well.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about when I was in high school, I was playing football and I kind of put on a persona of like, this guy, he had the girls, he was athletic. So I felt like I had to act and be a certain way. And that was totally compromising to my character. Tay, you knew me my entire life. If you would have seen me at school, you'd been like, Isaiah, what are you doing? Like, but it was those little things to, try
Who
to
is
be
this?
accepted. So my instant gratification was acceptance. And so that's why I would compromise, things that I would normally never say. I would be saying it at school, normally never do. I would be doing it at school or wherever I felt like, if I do this, it will get me in. It will make me blend in. It'll make me seem like, I belong wherever I am, or I belong in this certain social group. And so I think a lot of people are looking for acceptance, and that's a big reason why people compromise.
Yeah, that's great. Absolutely. That's what I was. Yeah, you switch gears perfectly. Ricky, you have something.
Yeah, I think mine is like in a similar vein as yours. I think being a servant is always great,
Uh-huh.
but when you're a servant to the point that you don't serve yourself, that's a problem.
Yeah.
I would serve so much that I wouldn't take care of myself,
Mm-hmm.
right? And pandemic, I was like, I ain't getting no haircut. I'm saving these monies. I'm not doing nothing. I'm eating the bare minimum. I'm not doing anything that I enjoy because I need to lock in and spend my time with God.
Yeah.
But that's, that could be, is it sacrilegious or religious?
Mhm.
Is that the right?
You say religious.
Yeah, religious.
Mhm.
Like, you don't gotta, God ain't telling you to deprive yourself.
Mhm. Yeah.
He's telling you to prioritize
Mm.
and balance. He wants
Yes.
time with you. He's not saying, spend so much time with me that you never do anything that you enjoy.
Mhm.
100%.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Because
That's good.
he's, in that way, he would become more of like a,
Like a dictator,
yeah.
rather than being like a father.
Yeah, that's not a
Mhm.
father. A father wants you to do stuff to it that you enjoy because you can see him in it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? So now I'm getting my hair cut.
Mhm.
I'm going to the beach. I'm giving me a little something to eat. Every once in a while, I'm gonna step
Yeah.
out. I'm being
Hello.
responsible with my money though.
Mhm.
But I'm gonna go sit down and eat somewhere.
Yeah.
You know, like
Why not?
yeah, I can't never serve past my capacity
Mm.
where I'm not pouring into myself. Cause self-care is like huge to
Oh,
me
yeah.
now.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? That's
Amen.
huge to me.
Yeah, bro.
Amen. Yeah.
I mean, but the thing is too, bro, when you think about it, if you're serving from an unhealthy spot, you're serving for a space of recognition.
Mhm.
You're serving from a space of performance, of validation from man, whereas you can get everything you need from God.
Mm.
You know? So yeah, I can't get to a space anymore where I'm like, man, I'm doing all of this.
Mhm.
Nobody's saying anything.
Mm.
Yeah.
Nobody's noticing that I'm putting all these hours in. I've been here this long.
It's the Denzel hand.
Yeah, but just how it feels.
Yeah.
It feels like that,
That's
yo.
hilarious.
You know what I'm saying? Because it's like you then now have to dissect why you're serving that way. Because it
Mm.
gets deeper. Like compromise just becomes the thing that's like the surface.
Mm.
Right? We was talking, it's like compromise is just the thing, but it becomes, what do we say, discipline?
Yeah.
It becomes your
discipline issue.
your
Right.
new
Yeah, yeah.
thing. Like,
Mhm.
what are you submitting yourself to?
Mm.
Right? You in some spots, if you're sacrificing so much that it becomes offensive to you,
Yeah.
or it becomes you're angry at your service. No, the Bible tells us to have a servant's heart.
Mhm.
I want a heart like David.
Mhm.
You feel me? I want to serve. I want to be like David. I want to have the spirit of David.
Mhm.
But in that time, David wasn't serving to be like, well, everybody got to see me. You know what I'm doing.
Yeah.
You see when I did, I just killed the giant. Look at me.
Mhm.
Giant slayer. You know what I'm saying?
Giant
Don't at me.
slayer.
I'm with you, bro. It's like I think it comes back to like your character. So if you're in an environment where you, to your point, bro, like you want to have a pure heart, you want to be a person who's like David. He had a pure heart before God. It comes back to character. David didn't compromise his character, even when opportunities came to him to compromise his character.
Yeah.
Saul was right there with him. He could have killed Saul, but he didn't. Instead, he called out and he was like, Saul, and then Saul would respond, David, my son, whatever. And it was this interesting thing where he could have compromised his character
Mhm.
of his heart, and he could have killed Saul in that moment, but he didn't. So what does that say to us is like when you're in an environment, in a situation where you could be tempted to be less than who you are,
Mhm.
less than what you've set out to be or set out to do, like you have two choices. One is to acquiesce and to basically compromise your character and your heart and what you're actually there for, or it is to say, man, I am here to be a man after God's own heart. I want to
Mhm.
have pure intentions. I want to have character that is strong, that's good. I want to go after being that. And that's what I'm hearing you say, bro, is like we have to always like come back to the place of why are we doing what we're doing? And if yours is I want to do it from the place of having a pure heart, then nothing should sway you from what you set out to do when it comes to your pure heart.
Bro, and being a man of your word is way deeper than like a cool saying.
100%.
Like being a man or a woman, I love you. Keep me in your life.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry.
I knew that
I had to say it. I had to. One of us is
Oh,
gonna do it.
yes.
Bro. But it's like people are now able to rely on you based off of your word or the thing that you do consistently, right? If people know me to be reliable, people know me to be a man of my word, so they know they could come to me and say, Rick, I need you to do this. They know they can do that because they've seen Rick do this over time. Right?
Absolutely.
He did not compromise his word. If I told you I'm gonna be here at this time, I'm gonna be here at this time.
Yes.
Right? There's no other way to stand on your word. You know what I'm saying? That's
You're
like
really
standing
good
on
about that, and you also don't agree to things that you know you can't live up to.
Right.
Yeah.
That's another thing you're really good about. Like you, in the healthiest, nicest way, you'll put out the no first if it's something you don't think you can do, and then if you can figure out a yes, you'll come around to the yes later.
Yeah.
But you won't say yes and then backtrack into a no. And I've noticed that about you, and that is huge because it does create reliability and trust from the other people because they know that you're gonna stand by your word.
Appreciate you, bro.
Yeah, absolutely. I learned that from you, being a man of my word.
Come on.
Do we always have to make this a Rick podcast?
Well, no,
Jalen and
You
Rick.
guys don't know how great Rick is behind closed doors.
There's actually something that happens where
Rick's
it's
the
like
greatest.
Jalen and Rick will like lock
Every
eyes and have this
time.
like beautiful moment where it's like, bro, you just said that thing. And they called it ping pong in one of the other podcasts. And they like start having this like moment.
You catch the
together.
revelation. You.
But that's true. That's true. And that's what this is about. Like is I love that you are that though, because you are a person that at all costs, you won't compromise who you've said you are.
That's real.
And that's really what we're talking about is like, if you said you're this, or if God's called you to be this, don't compromise on what you said and ultimately what God has called you to do and to be. Because you compromise that, then you can't be trusted. Then you can't be the person who they come to and they say, hey, can you do this? Because they're like, I don't know if you're going to meet your end of the bargain.
Right.
So not compromising actually helps you in a myriad of ways. It doesn't just help you with disciplines or your boundaries. It helps with all those things, but it really helps you in the long run of life. Like it helps you be a person of integrity, a person who actually says what they mean and means what they say in any environment that they find themselves in.
Absolutely. Yeah, and just kind of wrap this up a little bit. We've talked about character a little bit. Let's kind of talk more about some of those external pressures to compromise socially, even in something that you have already established or set a discipline in, how those outside forces can make you want to compromise sometimes. It can be tempting. And maybe we did a little bit already, but like how do we actively overcome something like that? I think something that comes to me real quick, I wasn't expecting to answer right away, but I think I would talk about valuing progress.
Yeah.
You know, so let's say you've cut out, even if it's something you're struggling with sinful wise, let's say you struggle with drinking and you've cut that out of your life and you go out socially and you don't want to drink anymore, but everybody else is drinking, but valuing the progress of being sober. So much so that you can refuse the drink. You know what I mean? So much so. So just thinking about valuing progress is great. Like working out, something close to me. I am being more serious now because I value progress. Me and James, who is behind the camera, we booked a couple jobs and they were great jobs for a couple weeks, very demanding schedules. So we ate out a lot. You know, we're eating out the whole time. And then next thing you know, we're not working out. And so when you get back to your routine, it's very difficult. And then sometimes it's difficult to get back into your rhythm and get back into your disciplines because you have compromised so many times. I could have been packing stuff that was healthy to take and eat while I was working, but instead I was eating wherever I could.
Yeah.
And so, it gets tough to get back in the routine. So, but now I value progress, especially after the whooping I took in the gym yesterday. It was tough.
Yeah.
And so I value the progress and I'm like, I'm not going to backtrack too far, because then you got to swim upriver way more to get back to where you were.
100%.
So, yeah.
Value progress, and I would say value yourself. And I'm seeing a vision right now too. So pardon me while I hash out my thoughts, but like, okay, so I want to make this analogy between like a painter and God, or any artist that creates. So if God is a master craftsman, or a creator, and he created us, then we are his masterpiece.
Mm-hmm.
So we have to look at ourselves that way first. The person that God created, us, trying to become that person, trying to become that masterpiece, that is the most valuable version of ourselves. So to add on top of those things, add on top of the masterpiece, would bring down the value, versus if you were to actually just stay the masterpiece, that's where your true value is. Because I'm thinking like, yo, if there was a Picasso painting and somebody started like putting extra stuff on there, compromising, the value would go down to $2 versus 200 million.
Right.
So you have to look at yourself that way. If you start adding on things out from external pressures, you are literally like graffitiing over the masterpiece that God created you as.
My God.
By yourself.
Who you think you are?
Bro, don't do this
that
to me.
was crazy, bro.
Rick,
Don't do this
Rick
to me,
wants
bro.
to literally fight Isaiah.
Gorgeous.
Literally,
every time.
like,
Gorgeous
so
vision.
good.
Please keep the camera
Which
rolling
revelation?
because Rick is gonna beat me up outside.
Not true, not true at all. Not true,
All
not
right.
true.
I love that.
You think you just
Yo.
gonna say that?
I love that.
I
On
thought
the
it,
podcast?
that's hilarious.
Sorry, I'm cutting up.
No, you're good. I thought of something though. Like you have to know yourself too.
Yeah.
Like it's because at the end of the day, it's about environments.
Mhm.
If you're not ready to go into an environment where people might be having drinks and you said you were going to stop drinking,
Yeah.
don't go in that environment.
Right.
If you're not ready to, be around all the sweets in the cabinet, don't be around the sweets in the cabinet. And until you work these disciplines so much so that they become who you are. And you're in pursuit of the highest version of you. So that highest version of you, to Isaiah's point, when you are in process of becoming that and you're getting progress in that area and you're growing towards that, you don't want to compromise the growth that has happened. Now, yes, there's grace, there's grace. There's mercies are new every morning. If you do have a compromise or you do make a mistake, there is redemption. He is a redeemer. There is no condemnation in Christ Jesus, right? There's none. So you can be free, but it also says to you, I have to get back on track. I have to get back in alignment, because if I'm not in alignment, I'm not going to be able to continue to pursue the highest version of me. So you got to know your environments. You got to know what you're around. You've got to be aware. It takes the disciplines. All these things come into play, because if you're not considering those things, you just have to see it as, this is not random. This is my assignment. My assignment is to become everything I was created to be. So I can't compromise anything that would look less than what I was created to be and who I was created to be in the earth.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Any final thoughts on compromise?
I don't know, something like really small that was coming to me is
small.
even, with saying, I love what Ty said about, not putting yourself, if you don't feel like you're ready to go back into environments where there used to be drinking or this and that, not going in them, but also like not feeling bad about saying no to people or
you up here.
to, cause sometimes, you're like, oh, but they wanted me to be there. It was their, whatever. Or even relationally sometimes,
sure.
oh, I don't want to let them down if I'm not, but like, not like really, really prioritizing yourself, and really prioritizing what you need. You know what I mean? I can't do that right now, so I'm sorry. I love you. I'm sorry. I can't go to this event. I can't do this for you. You know what I mean? I can't meet this need that you have, and not feeling bad about it, because at the end of the day, like, yeah, kind of like what I said earlier. Like, what would that if you do that, trying to protect someone's feelings or trying to not feel or like the odd one out because you didn't go and all your friends went, like. But if you decide to go anyway, like, what did that cost you? Because you weren't ready. You know what I mean? You weren't ready to do that, and you knew that. So like, it really comes down to recognizing. Okay, like, okay, so sure, we have free will. So I could go to this. It is an option. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I could go, and I could choose to go. But what am I going to feel terrible about going afterwards? Am I going to feel like I wasn't ready and I knew I wasn't ready? Like, it's really about having good character, knowing yourself, and holding yourself accountable into that standard. Because you're the only person that's going to know how you really, really feel. You know what I mean? You might go up there and smile and act like you're fine, but if you go back home and you feel terrible, knowing that you shouldn't have done that or you shouldn't have went, like. What you gonna do with that? You don't want to continue to like let yourself down, especially when you know better. So I think it's about not being afraid to let people down, because so that you don't have to let yourself down. I think that's a big thing too.
Yes.
You said what I was trying to figure out how to say, because I was like, the words that was coming up in my head was like sensitivity. You know what I'm saying? Like people try to manipulate you to emotionally compromise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And now you in a space where you feel used and abused on top of, I know I'm not supposed to be here. So then you need to evaluate your friend group.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If your friend, those are not really your friends if they try to make you go against a boundary that you've clearly said or set for yourself.
Mm-hmm.
Like you got to let your yes be yes and your no be no.
Boom.
And then those people that in tune hear you say no to them, if they can't take that and say, I respect that,
Yeah.
that's not for you.
Mm-hmm. That's because they're holding on to that version of you that you're actually trying to grow out of. Because they're used to that you, and you're trying to grow and adopt a separate. You have a separate vision for your life now, but they've only seen you this way. So when you're now emerging with different habits, that's taking you in a different direction. It looks foreign to them.
Yep.
It even looks foreign to you, maybe, but
Exactly.
it is still the vision for you. So you're still going after it. And so you definitely might let people down, but that is what it is, because progress and growth is more important than that. At the end of the day, yeah.
I mean, if you accept, the thing is, I can accept you for being different from me. So why can't you accept me from being different from you?
Exactly. Well, it could even be some fear about your relationship because you related so hard with as those versions of yourselves. You have all this ground built in your friendship. Here, we're doing it. We're ping ponging. I'm sorry.
I'm literally about to stop looking at you.
So
It's a
you have this
It's the eye
thing, and then now
the eye
you're
lock.
growing, and they're like, "Where's he going?
Yeah.
Like, why are you leaving me? We do this thing." It's like, no, we don't. I was doing that, but as a lesser version of myself.
Yes.
I actually am supposed to do this thing. And
Right.
so you start going away. It doesn't mean you don't have to love them as much. Doesn't mean you have to, you might have to be around them a little less, maybe at
Absolutely.
first. I was going
Be
to say it
smart.
doesn't mean you have to be around them less. But yeah, it takes intentionality and discipline. I've had to say goodbye to many spaces. Maybe see you later. I've had to say see you later to many spaces, many friends, to grow. And then to come back and be represented in a way that I didn't compromise, because I was growing out of habits and ways of thinking that no longer served me, no longer served where I was going, no longer served where I was headed. And then you can come back and be unaffected. You come back and actually be a light. You can be an influence in that space.
I think the mindset you have to have is you are continually growing every single day. And sometimes other people are not going to be on that same mentality. They're not going to be on that same wavelength, as people would say, because they're like good at where they're at. But if you're a person who's continually growing and you're like, man, I want to continue to grow, I want to continue to go from level to level in my life, you have to see yourself as valuable. And you can't afford to, because that's what it would become, is a compromise to stay at this level when you know that there's more. You know that there's more to your life. You know that there's more that you want to do and you want to become. So you have to assess, like, is this going to hold me back? Is this going to keep my progress delayed? And be okay with the fact that, like, you are the only one who's responsible for your journey and your growth. So you have to be committed to say, I'm going to keep growing. And if this branch is cut off, if it's pruned, so be it. Because it's actually better for me that I continue to grow, even if things are pruned and snipped off, because the things that fall off make room for the right things and the right people and the right stuff as you continue to grow and become the person that you're setting out to be.
Absolutely.
So you have to see yourself as so valuable.
Absolutely.
And then you won't compromise, because you'll understand why it's not worth compromising, because you're so valuable.
Exactly.
Feel me?
Amen. Amen.
That was so good.
Well, family, we thank you for watching this. We thank you, Go Squad, for joining us for another podcast. We pray that this blessed you. I think it blessed us mightily. We had a good conversation about it. Don't let compromise kill your progress. Don't let compromise alter your character. So take this away. Put in the comments what you learned. Put in the comments things that you want to share with us, that you've learned from compromise in your own life. Make sure you get in touch with us in Discord, on Instagram. Like, we're all over the place. We want to have community with you. We want to really interact with you. So please do that. We do Instagram lives, all the things. Comment, we'll comment back to you. So yeah, we love you guys. We thank you for watching. Also, if you didn't subscribe yet, just click that right now before you forget. Don't get off yet. Subscribe, like the video, do all the things. We have a link in the bio as well so that you can stay connected with us on every platform. We love you. We'll see you in the next one.
Peace.
Peace.